Hello, everyone. Welcome to our edition of the Ohio Guys here. My name is Tristan Campo, and today I'm joined by another amazing actor in the indie scene. We have today Joshua Portillo here today. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good. How about you, Christian?
I'm doing well. As time as we're recording, it is Super Bowl Sunday, so we are hours away from that hitting, and a way to kind of kick off this Sunday is to have a great conversation with Josh here, which is you, and for our viewers here to kind of dive into the experiences of Josh here, and hopefully all the viewers will get to know him a little bit better as we go on a very different path here in the Ohio guys. Little twist of our usual structure, our flavor. So we're just gonna freestyle this on, and we're just going to just go on hinge as we talk to you, Josh here. So Josh, why don't you start us off with just kind of getting everyone adjusted on who you are, your role in the indie scene, and just let us know of who you are and some of your interests as you maneuver through this ever-changing industry.
Gotcha. So, hello, everyone. My name is Josh Portillo. I am a remote Asian voice actor in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been doing this since, goodness, 2018. I can't believe it's been that long. Um, yeah, I started in 2018. I got in it with a friend of mine, and we got in it from just we had a we love anime and we love video games, and one game they wanted to show me was Danganronpa, and we played the Danganronpa series together. That was pretty fun, and from then on we just had a passion to get into it. He did, and I kind of just tagged along. And from that point on, I mean, I still remember the first auditions that we did in his closet, and it was pretty rough. I was lisping the whole time. I used to have a speech impediment a little bit, and I couldn't really talk like a full sentence without skipping or like messing up. So voice acting really did help me in that sense. But from that point on, just we kept auditioning, loved it, grew. And for me, I started taking classes around 2019, and my instructors that I took really taught me how to really accept the field as a whole, indie, professional, and what goes into those, like as a whole, like narration, commercial, ads, video game work, anime dubbing, ADR dubbing, all that kind of stuff. And my instructor said to just, again, be accepting and to just really, if you want to make a career out of this, you have to, you know, um, get clientele that will always want to work with you. And sometimes you might have to do stuff that you might not want to do. You still like it, but it's not your passion within the voiceover field, but it's still voiceover. And it keeps your on top of your feet, and keeps you afloat. So I learned that very early on, and I took that to heart. And the more I was going along with this, I just felt like my path was gearing more towards becoming a full-time voiceover artist. And I was just like, okay, this is the path. My friends were talking to me about it. They were saying like, you can go this way, that way, but we see you going this way. You might not see it, but you're putting more work into this, so you might want to check it out and see what happens. And so I did that, and here we are a few years later. And of course, I've been able to have along with life experiences, learn more about the business, learn more about the auditioning process, learn more how to, act, how to study a scene, how to study a line, the actions of a character, why a character is doing certain things. And it's just been a really cool journey. And, for me, I have a passion for the indie field because of just the creativity that indie creators, the freedoms that they have and what they try to put out there and how passionate they are about it. I've worked with a lot of indie creators, and it's always been a pleasure. It's always been fantastic. And yeah, that's pretty much been my journey. I know I went all around the place, but yeah, I've been doing this for about 5 years. Realistically, if I'm being honest with myself, by taking it seriously, I'm going on my 4th year. So yeah, it's been a fulfilling, rewarding, and also humbling journey. So and I'm just can't wait to still continue to learn. So yeah.
Sounds like to me you're in a way almost like you've kind of learned on the job, learning just different avenues there is when dealing with the indie scene. You I heard similar people say things where it's very creative when you're in doing indie works because there's so many different minds out there, whether it be like video games or it be like stuff with just audio focus, novels, certain different elements where you're using your voice. It's just depending on like where exactly you're gonna take your voice towards, and that always makes it very interesting because I've seen some of your work. You've done like great indie games, whether it be like the Backrooms Lost Tape or one of the upcoming ones, EXP War, that has very strong valve notes towards Silent Hills PT, and just hearing you talk about growing yourself, taking yourself to different levels, just kind of amazing. Just hearing that you take to heart of what your instructor has taught you. You may find different pockets in the indie scene where you may not have been focusing first. However, these works will get you experience, and you know that every little thing counts for you, especially when it comes to building up yourself, building up your resume, and hopefully taking a crack at something more of a professional scale when it comes to just getting the next highest work that you can
Yes.
collaborate with.
Hmm. Exactly. And it's yeah, it can be very humbling. It's a learning experience. But the mission of an actor is to just act and to do it every single day. Of course, take breaks here, in between, but as a passion, you can't really get away from it. You just want to do it all the time. So just getting something in each day to get better is what you have to do. I think the one thing that I will say as an actor to prepare yourself for is when you do big things and you have to hold on from saying it to people, called NDAs. NDAs stink. I have a lot, and I've been saying that numerous times now, and it's oh boy, I can't say anything about what I've been in, and it's to me like it's a big accomplishment just from being in Jacksonville. This is not a hub, and it can be hard when you're not in a hub. And again, I'm not giving hate to hubs or anything because each place has its like being in a hub has its difficulties, not being in a hub has its difficulties. So it's looking at it through different perspectives is very important. But I just know from my perspective, from not being in Texas, New York, or Los Angeles, it can be very difficult to get on people's radars. And just from what I'm holding in, Christian, I'm very proud of. And it's been very, again, I keep saying rewarding, but it has. So that's the one thing that I would tell people to prepare for is just NDAs and not doing anything drastic to the point where you break those, because then you'll get a reputation and then you get blacklisted, which is terrible. So yeah.
And again, in my experience doing these interviews and podcasts, I've always have not gone any of these talks without hearing an NDA somewhere along the lines. It is one of those things where it can feel a bit like a hindrance at times, just in terms of wanting to let people know what you're involved in and hoping that whatever that title might be will help you elevate yourself to a new project for the future. And I'm sure it can feel daunting at times, just keeping it all in, trying to be mindful on how you talk to people, or hopefully not that it's that when you may not think about it, might just subconsciously maybe slip out. So it is it is a very tough thing just to adjust yourself in, especially for newer folks that are still in the first few years, the first run,
Yeah.
and this, whether it be in the indie scene or the more professional scenery, just trying to just watch your P's and Q's and
Yeah.
in regards to NDAs, and especially for you being remote, Jacksonville, Florida. Yes, it may not be the spots, it may not be where the work is at. Any little work that can come your way, it's a leg up, getting yourself more experience. And
Yeah.
I've talked to people like in different corners of the country, whether it be the East Coast, the Midwest, where it might be. I haven't gone across the pond where people from United Kingdom, they share their experiences working remote and still being involved in some interesting titles that have garnered a great fan base, whatever it might be. So just hearing you talk about Florida, it reminds me of just how remote has gone so far, and especially now we're kind of in the post COVID era, where that was the thing for the last few years, just remote work, home studios, actors still getting their voices in, whatever the projects might be. So now we're in 2024, in time of recording, things have shifted back towards studio recording. Yes, remote work is still there, not as prevalent as it once was, but it still has a presence. Whatever level and whatever company studios are behind the titles they give out, looking for actors to fill the shoes of characters that they want to have a voice in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what you call it. Yeah, we are pivoting in the post-COVID era because, again, like you said, it was studios didn't really have a choice when people were locked down, so they had to go to remote. But you know, as you grow more as an actor, as you get older, as you get more mature as an individual, not even as a voice actor, but just as an individual, as an adult, you start to learn to look at other people's perspective. Again, like being in a hub has its own difficulties and its own positives, and then being remote, it has its own difficulties and positives. When it came to remote work for studios, I mean, there were some positives because new people and talent were coming in that you never would have heard of, which was great. But the downside is for the studio workers, the editors, the engineers. Their jobs are very difficult. I would never want to be an engineer. Kudos to them. I don't have the patience for that. But leveling out all the audio, putting the plugins in to match, everybody, whatever their process is, it got very difficult, and that's why going into studio is the most effective. And if I had my own studio, yeah, I would want more people that were local or that wanted to come to my area to work. I would want them to do that, but again, I understand that a lot of people can't. So hopefully for me, and my hope is, whether I go to a hub or not, I would just want remote voice actors to get more of a opportunity to work for these big companies, work for different studios that they've dreamed of doing. Because again, some people just can't, with disability, with all that kind of stuff that I don't want to mention, because I don't want to overstep any boundaries, but diseases that I don't really know about, all that kind of stuff. Again, stuff that hinders people from even moving. It could be personal, it could be family, it could be, sickness within the family, it could be finances. Like, there's so many things. And I feel, hopefully in the next few years or so, or even during this year and onwards, that, remote voice actors can get those experiences, those opportunities, that they deserve. Because I know, being in the remote scene, I've gotten to know some remote voice actors, and their passion is there, their love is there for the field. They put their heart and soul into it, working, their day jobs, and then coming back home and recording for 4 to 5 hours, going to sleep at 2 a.m. and then waking up at 6 to go to their job again, 5 days out of the week. That's the grind. And I see a lot of people, remote people, because I'll speak for remote voice actors, they do that, and I talk to them sometimes, and they're dead. They're tired. Their mental health is kind of declining, because they haven't gotten a lot of sleep, so they need to get that rest to mend their health. It's a grind. It's a grind. And again, this is no. If anybody who listens to this, I don't want them to think that I'm throwing hate on voiceover hub voice actors. No, definitely not. I mean, in a few years time, I could be one. So I'm not going to do that. I have respect for them, because they have their own sacrifices that they go through, that I have not. And the sacrifices I have to do, that's my responsibility. I can't just say like, oh, they got those opportunities and I didn't. Well, sucker, you didn't sacrifice like them. So tough luck. Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own difficulties that they go through. But we're all on our own journey. But this, at the end of the day, I just hope that remote voice actors get that notoriety and some of those opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a lot. Sorry, Christian.
No, it's fine. Remote work, I really think it does have a place in the overall scheme of things. There's always great talent. People have great voices. They may not live in the major cities where the studios are at, where the work is at. That's why I always enjoy hearing like certain voices that I probably not hear if it was done usually in like a California, Texas, New York, etc., etc. Like again, just based off my past interviews with other remote voice actors, everyone just has their own like little unique voice, a little spin towards it, whether for the guys, whether it be baritone, bass, tenor. There's always a difference in those. Like there could be 30 actors that are tenor, but each of them have their own tenor, their own version of tenor. It's still in that category, but yeah, like I always compare it to like if you were to go to a Baskin Robbins picking a ice cream flavor. Yes, I want chocolate, but maybe I want chocolate caramel. Maybe I want chocolate s'more, chocolate chip, chocolate Jamaica almond.
You're making me hungry, brother.
It's just an analogy, and yes, I think it's strong when just comparing like different variations when picking certain actors that would be considered like asking players is depending like what kind of chocolate do you want, what kind of banana do you want? Do you want the standard, or do you want like a certain little change to it? Yeah, those spice to it, something that it is chocolate, but it's a different type of chocolate, or again just vanilla. There's also a French vanilla. There's a what do you call it? Then there's like a Mexican vanilla, or there's a vanilla triple extreme. Just depending on like what these are looking for, and then just kind of drawing back to the need for remote. I've even joked this with like people would be friends, family, and then when I'm talking to actors, off camera, I would assume like, okay, what if we get COVID-20 another 5, 10 years, and the industry ends up going back to the routine that we just had a few years ago? Like, this was a possibility. I don't know what's going to happen, but if we do get hit with another COVID like that, would it be the same song and dance like last time? Right back to remote work? Who knows? At least we know what the formula was back then, and it worked for the last 2, 3 years. And it could definitely work again in the future once, if we get another global shutdown that we once experienced. So, yeah, I thought I mentioned that because I'm always watching out, now with how the world changed during the last 4 years. I just gotta be like kind of on my toes. Where okay, are we going to one day be back in that routine, or will we get a few more years and we get blindsided out of nowhere, go back to the shutdown of the world? Like, hopefully not, but if we do, at least we really have like a roadmap. We really have the bases kind of covered if it were to repeat itself again. So yeah, 2030 is only 6 years away, so we'll see how that will start off. Whether it be
Yeah.
a very good start or we have a repeat of history. So we won't know until we get to that point.
Yeah, it's hopefully nothing bad happens, but I mean, at the same time, whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens, happens.
You just gotta take each day one step at a time, especially with remote work. You could have days where you get some work, maybe some days where you might not get anything done, but all you can do is just either still hone your craft, still apply yourself in
Yep.
the scene until you hear something, or these indie creators that you really grown a relationship with, you actually know who they are, they know who you are, and they decide to create other projects, then you're in a very good spot where they might ask for you to come back again for something else down the road. So yeah, there's always possibilities. Just networking with people, make sure that your name is enough out there where you can sustain yourself, and always trying to collaborate however you can, whenever you can.
Yep. Yep. You got to keep your skills sharp. And again, the mission is to act every day, or it's if you make it your job, whenever you're on the clock, basically, and then you rest, and then you get back to it. For me, I wanted to make it an everyday or almost an everyday thing, like a job. Uh, and I found that doing narration work really helped out with that. And I never really saw myself do a lot of narration work, because I was never really a good talker. I always stumbled upon my words. I always didn't take time to think about what I was saying. Like in a sentence, I would always again stumble. Never really a good talker. And again, I never would have thought that I would get into that. And about a year or so ago, I was just began to work for different companies that I found that I connected with, and they were doing like YouTube stuff, analysis videos and all that. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, for a good rate too. I'm not good with rates. Like, there are different rates that voice actors have. I know there is one website, that I know of, that they have set rates, which is a great source. I just can't remember the initials of the group that had these standards. I apologize for that, because that's really good information. But if I remember, I'll tell you, Christian, and then you can spread it to people, I guess. um, But there is a standard out there, and I went off of that, and I still do from times. But in the indie field, you have to kind of be lenient, because I mean, indie creators don't really, they don't have the budget as a big company like Konami, or any other big game companies. They don't have that budget, so you have to be lenient a little bit, but still have your boundaries and your set rates, for indie, I guess, indie field specific. But that's besides the point. I was beginning to work for different companies, for narration, and then that kind of just snowballed into other companies, and now I work with other ones. One of them is Pocket FM, that a lot of my voice acting colleagues do, and the people over there are really nice, working with them. And now, almost every day, it's I'm acting. I'm getting my practice in. I'm getting, and I'm getting paid for it, which is great. It got so busy to the point where, in, I believe, September of 2022, I quit my job finally. And that was an accomplishment. And then, just from how much income was coming in, I was able to pay off my loans. So, good life accomplishments. And you make a career out of it, and the clients, they like you, and you respect them, as time goes on, and work with them and adjust what needs to be adjusted, and you're just, you still are grateful for the opportunities that they give you. I think that's the one thing that I think actors always need to have, is to just be grateful, humble, and to just be thankful that that they get those opportunities that they're given, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't get that exposure. So you just have to be, count your blessings, for when they come. But yeah, with how much narration work I'm doing, it's an everyday thing almost. So you get your practice in, you get, your articulation practice in, your enunciation, your breathing, all that kind of stuff, all in real time. And it just helps with the auditions and going through them, studying the scene, studying the actions of the characters, like I mentioned before. It just all goes, all together. And again, for me, I've been lucky enough to find a good group of clientele that trusts me and gives me opportunities to really just have enough income to not really worry that much about money. Of course, it's still good to budget and everything, and you don't want to make this all about money. That's I feel like that's where you have to draw a fine line between that. It's good to have a lot and to earn a lot, but it can't be all about that, because if it becomes all about that, then your passion kind of goes away. It's not pure, as it started out as. So I try to keep myself grounded. I try to humble myself with the friends that I have. My friends, the group of friends that I grew up with since high school, I still hang out with, and they keep me humble. They keep me, grounded. They always remind me that all this is not guaranteed, and it can all go away. Tomorrow I could injure my throat, and I could not voice act ever again. So that can always happen. I'm not like no chosen one or whatever. None of us are. So, my friends keep me humble, and I'm just, again, grateful for all the work that I've been given. Don't know where I was going with that, but I hope that kind of leewayed into other stuff that we can talk about.
Yeah, I know it made sense. Just again, just getting more of a perspective on how you go through this scene more on a personal level, and as well as just from a portfolio type of aspect. So everything you said makes sense. And I was gonna ask you, because kind of before we start this interview, I got little nuggets of just like your interests, kind of stuff that kind of may have influenced your career path, just being part of the entertainment industry. I was hoping that maybe we can just kind of dig into your mind. Just you mentioned Danganronpa, kind of a canvas to get you where you're at.
Yep.
Just want to explore more like your interests, whether it be certain video game titles
Yeah.
you've enjoyed, maybe some cartoons, animes, and for those we did talk about some pro wrestling earlier.
Eh,
So those things kind of bought into this one little sphere and then kind of use that to take you to your indie work, maybe taking little pieces from that ball of yours and using it as a framework when you
oh yeah.
decide to voice work or kind of step into the mindsets where there's a familiarity you really have that you take with you in these indie projects. So hopefully you can lead us on and just take us on this journey of yours.
Oh, cool, of course. So, I mean, it all starts when I was a kid. Like growing up, I liked, the best thing that I discovered was a Nintendo 64. That was the best thing that I found when I was a kid. That was escapism. And I've said this in different podcasts and different settings with actors and uh, talking about your life and everything. Growing up, it was pretty hard. It was dealing with domestic violence and all that kind of stuff. It was my mom and I had to survive basically, and it was difficult at times. And for a long time, I didn't talk about it until really I opened up about how I felt about that with my mom when I was like 13. And that's like years of just like going through it. And in that time, we're not going to talk about that, but in that time, video games was my escapism. Cartoons were my escapism. And again, the one thing that was one of the best discoveries was a Nintendo 64. I would play like I grew accustomed to platformers a lot. I liked Banjo Kazooie. I liked Bomberman. I liked and I also liked the classic Star Fox 64. I played that so many times. I love, Fox McCloud, Falco Lombardi, Slippy Toad, Peppy Hare, Rob 64, the Great Fox, your R Wings going to defeat Andross. Like I love the the concept of the hero's journey. And I saw that through so many video games I played. Uh, Going forward, like when the PS2 came out, I remember it's funny. The three games that were given to me when I first got my PS2 was Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty, Devil May Cry, the first one, and Silent Hill 2. I did not understand because that was my dad who bought those games for me. He didn't. I think his heart at that point, he was trying, and yeah, he was trying to get me into more mature video games. But I was like, I don't know, 6. um, but now it's funny because now those games are like a cornerstone of my acting. I loved David Hayter's performance as Snake, one of the most iconic performances in video game history, along with just other like a lot of people have done Dante, and I love almost all all of the performances of Dante from Devil May Cry, with Nero, with Virgil, and then while it was rough, people labeled it as rough, but it fit the video game. The actors did a great job, in my opinion. James Sutherland from Silent Hill 2, just that unnerving and really just, it fit the atmosphere of Silent Hill, of just him going through the town looking for his wife Mary and going through this nightmare. And you start to learn what this really is, what this nightmare really is, and what this abomination of a place is actually around him. It's so many good stories were presented to me when I was younger, and I didn't understand it all except Metal Gear Solid. I grew accustomed to that. I love that so much. I I would always like. when I was younger, I was like, man, it would be so cool to do what David Hayter does. And I was like, what is that? I'm like, of course it's voice acting, you dork. But I was like, how? How do you get into something like that? I wouldn't say it was a passion of mine back then, but it was like a low key, like I want it to be a passion, but I don't know how to get into it. And from where I come from, it I'll be honest, it was hard to really imagine myself in a field like this. I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. Like I told you before, I was growing up in a domestically violent home, like many kids have. Uh, but everybody holds their own weight with it. And I grew up as a fat kid, did not have a lot of confidence in my body image, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really I had friends, but I had a hard time making friends in school and everything. I was not good early on in school uh, with grades and doing my work and everything, because I was just kind of shy and didn't had a lot of stage fright when doing presentations. So didn't really do well. I failed a grade because of it, so that stunk. And that really just and I'm saying all these life experiences to kind of drive home the fact of how much video games in the entertainment field meant to me growing up, because it was escapism. It got me away from just all that pain that was going on, all the bullying, the teasing. You're fat. Oh, your eyes, they're too squinty. It's like, damn, that's mean. All right, time to play Doom. And you escape into it, and they mean a lot to you. Like, for some odd reason, growing up, like when I was like 10 or 12 or 11 or something like that, I was getting teased a lot about my weight. And this was about a year or so after I had failed, the fourth grade. And I ended up playing Doom 3 out of all games. Doom 3 is a very graphical game. It's very crazy. But that game is just in my head. It's just like, man, this is crazy. It's rough. It's gory. It's maybe something I should not be playing, but dang, I feel like a badass playing it. And that kind of just like snowballed into other games. I liked again, I was a big platformer guy. I liked Jak and Daxter. Jak 2 was, man, Jak 2 is legendary. It is the one of the best sequels ever created. Voice acting also top notch. Guy who came in to be Jak didn't have anything to go off of, made the character on the spot, and he matched what you thought Jak sounded like the whole time. Daxter, I feel bad. Played by a great actor from The Sopranos. Um, his performance always stole the show. And just all the other voice actors that were in Jak 2 specifically, and Jak 3. And Jak 1, I mean, Jak and Daxter, the first one, they transferred to Jak 2, basically. It was all good. And then there was Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper, too, was one that I grew accustomed to, and the voice acting in that was great. And Ratchet and Clank, which is still around, um, Rift, what was it called? Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart. I think that's what it was called. I could be wrong. I haven't played it in a while. With Jennifer Hale in it. That was fantastic voice acting. So all these games that I'm mentioning really kind of honed in, what I wanted to be as a voice actor. Now thinking about it, and now that I've gotten into it, back then it was just people and just games that I admired, and really helped me through some really dark times. And really like helped me, see that in those dark times, you just got to fight through, just like the heroes in those video games, just like how Dante freaking makes jokes while, battling demons, for goodness sakes, or how Snake is, I mean, I don't smoke cigarettes, but he's, like 5 or 10 freaking guards in his area. He's like, smoking a cigarette, like, oh, here we go again. That mentality of you're gonna get through it. But and then Danganronpa, Danganronpa, about 4 or 5 years ago, us playing through that and just hearing all the great voice actors who are most of those voice actors who are in Danganronpa are in anime. So it's a good transition of talking about anime. But yeah, Danganronpa was a good one. Hearing all the great voices, the great sound bits that they were, directed to do, and all the lines. Johnny Young Bosch's performance as Hajime Hinata in Danganronpa 2 was great. What's his name? I, I'm always bad with names when I'm talking in podcasts. I am so sorry. But the performance of Kaede and Shuichi in Danganronpa V3, fantastic work. And I've all these performances I've written in my journal as references to up in my game. Like, what can I do with those type of voices and make them my own? Because you never want to imitate somebody. If you imitate, you're just it's fun. It's good practice, and people do make money off of it. I'm not going to hate on that. That's not my field. That's not my place to judge the way they get money. But it's always good, in my opinion, to go off of your original voice, and to go off of what you can do rather than what someone else can do. But to take notes, and it's like, hey, David Hayter's voice. I wonder how I can make that my own voice, make it less growly, less grungy a little bit, and maybe do it this way. You got to get scientific with it almost. So that's what I've done. And but yeah, in regards to video games, yes. And for anime, I'll try to make this quick too, because I know I've been talking a long time. I've said this before in another podcast. I think it was with Closing Credits, but the one anime performance that always comes back to me for grounded anime work, not exaggerated, not not over the top, but just grounded, like how we're talking right now. I love the performance of the English dub from Toradora. uh I love that. With Again, I'm blanking on names again because I don't want to get names wrong, so I will not mention names, but every actor that was in that, they portrayed their emotions so well. The acting was good. It was just top notch. I love it so much. I always reference that whenever I'm like, whenever I'm dubbing, when I'm doing ADR dubbing with the studios that I work with remotely. I always kind of reference back to that. And then there are other ones too. There are other animes. One, of course, I love the Love Is War dub is fantastic. I love the work that goes on in there, and I love Ian Sinclair's performance as the narrator. It's amazing. Johnny Young Bosch's performance as Ichigo in Bleach. That's that's just awesome. And then Mally Flanagan's performance as Naruto. It's stuff that's like beyond good, in my opinion. And Sean Schimmel's performance as Goku, Christopher Sabat's Vegeta. Also for me, the Ocean dub too. I like the Ocean dub. The actors in that did very well with Dragon Ball. And there are so many animes, so many. Oh, the one that I really reference for my acting is Steins Gate. I love Steins Gate. J. Michael Tatum, one of my favorite voice actors. Met him once at MegaCon. Sweetheart. Just a pure sweetheart. I love him. He's great. Don't know him, one on one, like a friend, like friends or anything, but like, gave me advice that he didn't need to give me. I asked for advice. He didn't have to go so in depth, but he did. He took the time to. And yeah, his performances as Okabe Rentaro and Erwin from Attack on Titan is just fantastic. Kyoya from On High School Host Club, just the guy can act, and his performance along with everybody else's and Steins Gate was just top notch. I number one for me. Always go back to that with for that, and Toradora is top tier for me. And the storytelling in wrestling, the characters, that was where my creativity kind of sparkled when I was blossomed a little bit when I was a teenager. Seeing the Undertaker, seeing John Cena, seeing the Hurricane turning into Gregory Helms, taking over the cruiserweight division. Triple H, Evolution, the destruction of Evolution, Batista's rise to fame, Shawn Michaels retiring Ric Flair, the Undertaker facing both Shawn Michaels twice and Triple H twice, and now currently, and I will say I don't watch wrestling as much, but I hear the highlights now. I don't know if it's the main event or not, but Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes, I would hope, not The Rock. I mean, I love The Rock. I love The Rock. He's one of my idols, but I want Cody and Roman to fight, not The Rock and Cody. I don't. Maybe something happened in between that I'm missing, but I heard it first for a minute. It was Roman and The Rock, and I'm like, what about Cody? But yeah, just like the different characters and the stories. And there are great stories that happen in Japan wrestling. Over in Japan, there's stories there that are great. But for me, when I was younger, when I was like 13, the second coming of DX, John Cena's infamous, well, not infamous, but like his long reign as champion. Different storylines really kind of helped me stay creative when I was going through a hard time, when I was actually transitioning from not playing a lot of video games and getting into sports more. That helped me. And I mean, I could even say sports in general too, like being a big football guy, seeing the different personalities like Michael Irvin, Terrell Owens, seeing the GOAT, Tom Brady, growing from a 6th round draft pick, 199th pick to the GOAT, 7-time Super Bowl champion. Again, the stories and just the personalities of any field. It can be in baseball, it can be in sports, it can be in anime. They help you create the characters that you portray, in the booth. So those are just things as a whole that really, my interests that always, have helped me in my voiceover work. And yeah, I know I probably talked for about 40 minutes. So I'm gonna let you talk, Christian.
Yeah, you're fine. This is one of the reasons why I personally love to, be online talking to folks like you. Just hearing your story, just kind of unraveling all these interests. As you've mentioned so different mediums in your last few minutes, just getting to know like what sparked everything for you, whether it been the video games, the animes, the pro wrestling, the sports, all that good stuff. And I appreciate you giving us just little pieces of your personal life, and just to give us just a little bit enough to go by, and everything else that kind of got you to put what was going on in your life, and then trying to take in stuff from the entertainment side of things to help relieve some of what you've gone through and help you kind of grow as a person, give you more like a structure on these, rather be like these fictional characters, but they feel human, like purely more human than the ones that you've come across in your real life, and as well as maybe the real ones on TV, whether it be the wrestling or the sports figures, that they ooze so much charisma,
Yep.
so much personality that you can't help but be awe inspired by all these TV folks that they just take everything by storm. They can just grab an audience attention by just showing their faces, commanding the attention of people with their voices, and
Yep.
just drawing people in. Skills that many of us would be envious to have and to long for, just because you mentioned like great figures would be the John Cena's, Undertakers, and then going far as football, whether it be the Tom Brady's, and then I got throw my 2 cents with the Terry Crews, with
Yeah.
just how
Yeah.
how crazy rambunctious some of these real life folks that make the presence known in those type of avenues on TV, where you may not see in your neighborhood, or you may not see in your everyday life, but you can always see them on TV. You just can't help but be curious what they're going to do next,
Yeah.
what their next what they're going to say when they're on TV again, whether it be the next night, next week. But you want to tune in again, just see what's going to happen. And going back to your love for anime, and just to kind of touch base upon Toradora, you did mention folks like Eric Kimmer, a very
Yep.
great guy,
Yes.
a big wrestling fan. Like, I always
Yep.
keep up with him, so I always appreciate his passion for wrestling, as well as juggling voice acting at the same time. Like, I don't know how man does it. Like, he makes time for everything. And then
Yeah.
covering other great folks, his colleagues, whether it be the Cassandra Lee Morris's
Yep.
amazing voice, just that, and that's the real voice when they're talking. You see him on YouTube, just that's a natural voice. They're not trying to sound like cartoon characters, not trying to sound like fictional characters you see on your screen.
Yep.
That's how they naturally sound. And another one, Christine Marie Cabanos, amazing voice. Another real voice they have, like that's how they sound in real life. Met these folks in the past, amazing people,
Yep.
and they just have great acting chops. Just hearing them out, and there's just so many to go on. Like you said, the J. Michael Tatum's,
Yeah.
and then just I can be here naming so many names because I've either have met these people or I haven't yet, and I'm hoping to get the opportunity. Just so much to peel back on their styles of acting, the
Yeah.
way they've utilized their own voices as instruments that have helped them with their career paths when it comes to filling the shoes of these characters. And like you said before, you will borrow like a certain element from these folks, and you might, I'll go for it as to coin the phrase, reverse engineer what they've had and make it your own. Take
Yeah.
what works and then add some your own layers to make it your own, which is a great way to have that framework in mind, to know what you want to take out from what you heard before and see if there's another way you can put it out there and make it your own.
Yes.
So, yeah, just again, man, I appreciate you just diving deep and showing us like every little thing that makes a big difference for you, everyday life, your career, and giving us the picture that you've painted for us just by your words alone, and just giving us more details on what Joshua Portillo has in mind when it comes to just going through everyday basis. So definitely appreciate you just giving us the rundown on everything that's come in your path.
Of course. Yeah. There is one thing I forgot. If I can mention it, is that okay?
Go ahead, go ahead. Like, that's why
Awesome.
we hear this. Like, we want to hear you, and we want to hear
Gotcha.
like everything that you want to bring out.
Gotcha. Yep. There's one other field that I love to reference too. I don't listen to it as much most recently I haven't been listening to it much, but I do regularly certain periods of time is musical theater. When I was a senior, no, a junior in high school, I, as a joke, said that I would join chorale after helping out with my high school's production of Beauty and the Beast. People that I knew that I was close to, kind of at that time, were doing it, and I was like, "Sure, I'm a big dude. I can push a damn castle. Yeah, awesome." And then the chorale teacher, Miss Jennifer Hudson, she was like, "Hey, you have talent. Can you come in and do chorale with us next year with everybody else?" And I'm just like, yeah, sure. Um, I'm not a liar, or I at least try not to be. And I said, well, dang, I said I would. I guess I am. And I signed up for it. Best decision because of it opened up a different, I guess, talent that I didn't know I had. Was a little bit of, acting and a little bit of singing. Did not know I could do all that. And we did Phantom of the Opera in our high school, and that was a run. That was like a crash course in character acting, of singing, of or scene study, and also elevating a role that's not supposed to be as prominent as it was written to be. Kind of. I in our production, I remember I was Piangi, and he is the husband of Carlotta, the prima donna soprano, that is opposite of Christine Daae. And in the musical, Piangi is not a big role, still a main principal, a main lead, but he's kind of like on a lower end, basically. And the director, the chorale teacher, she challenged all of us to make our characters, unique in our own way while sticking with the script, because you don't want to, disrespect, the playwrights that created those stories. And again, it was my first experience in high school. Not a trained actor, never took any classes, anything like that. Of just, the breakdowns of, how do you make something unique? And by the second showing that we did in front of our school and the community in Jacksonville here, there were different nuances and different things. Was like in the script, it wasn't said to fall off of a prop. We had a giant elephant, right? Prop for the big musical number that's in the beginning of the musical Phantom of the Opera. And by accident, I fell off of it. That thing was like, that was high. Uh, I fell, and I was not planning it, but it made my character more funny and unique, so we rolled with it. So I started speaking Italian after I fell down because I was like mad, and then I acted more like a goof. But that was the charm. That was like ad-libbing almost. It wasn't planned, but you rolled with it, and it worked. And then throughout that whole show, it kind of like was a snowball effect. There was this comedic undertone of my character that, fed to the crowd basically, and I could feel it. And the people around me could feel it, and I was like, this is weird. Piangi's not supposed to be this, but now he is. um and it was really nice, back then, as my first experience in acting and everything. And if I was an instructor right now, I would say that to all the actors who I'd be teaching would be to, whatever role you have, small, big, make it yours. there's different opportunities to make it yours. Of course, I know it can be hard when you're, part of crowd 3 or anything like that. I understand. That's a totally different job. As a background actor, background voice actor, that's your job. That's doing Walla. There's a different reward to doing that. Different job, different, subject that I'm not talking about right now. But in regards to a lower end side character, or a side principal, side lead, or even the lead, it's definitely make it yours. Stick with the script, ad lib here and there, but um, make it your own, and have fun with it. So that was musicals as a whole was another way of how I studied entertainment, and what's helped me be theatrical with my reads at times. Because what I did back then, when I didn't know what the heck I was doing, has really transferred into this. So it's really cool.
You know, it's just always good to hear like certain stories, like certain events like these, and I would not expect your story to take a turn like that. That you found something kind of, I assume, was high enough where
Yeah.
the outcome might have been different for other people, but still good story to tell others because it's helped you one way or another, for good or bad. Not to say that everyone's going to learn from something after falling down. Besides, not wanting to fall down again, but
Yeah.
you've taken that to heart. You use that as an opportunity to further enhance your chops. So just just hearing this, man, I'm like, wow, like who would have thought that a story like this would actually take us to this to this route?
Yeah,
So
to your career, basically.
I'm about to say, like, did you fall off like Mick Foley falling out from a Hell in a Cell?
Yeah. Yeah, it was exactly like that, kind of, in a smaller way. It's just Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, falling while facing the Undertaker. Yeah, that is basically that.
And I can hear like if you hit something, the same sound effect as Mick Foley hitting the tables at
Oh my
explosion.
god! Oh my god! JR, the King, all of them. Or Bobby the Brain Heenan if he was there, I think. I don't know. But yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
And we laugh about it because you laugh at it, and I can laugh because it's a good story to tell, just for good humor's sake, and just as a way of just educating others. May not be the most traditional, ideal way, but still a way to take something out of it. Just hear about
Yeah.
that type of experience. So yeah, just a fun one regardless.
Hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that as well. Like I know musical theaters have actually helped other actors. I've another another key element for other folks that have taken the lessons of musical theater, taking it to voiceover work. Again, whether it be video games, cartoons, animes, the list goes on. So hearing this, I kind of already knew that you would take something out of it, taking from musical theater, using it to hone your craft even further. So it's always interesting to hear how big of an influence musical theater has to other actors, especially in the more professional side of things. Like
Yeah.
just the payoff is just immense. When you think about it, just hearing like the training that goes into the lessons learned from instructors, the actual experience of doing it from beginning to end, everything just comes full circle when you really think about it.
Yeah, it does. Um, yeah, just going like full circle with all that. Um, Taking everything and honing it in. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, glad you got a good experience out of it. And well, I think it's the first time I ever heard anything like this. Like I've never, how of all my experience doing these interviews, podcasts, I don't think anyone's really told me that they fell out from something and bounced right back up and continued on with the play. Like, talk about the show must go on. You took it
Oh yeah.
to another extreme. Just hearing this.
Yep, we had to keep going, so I started sprouting. I started like yelling in Italian. So, random Italian words. I could have been saying pepperoni or like I don't know, uh, apple, by randomly. I just had to yell something.
uh, you've made it work somehow. Like that's the best takeaway from this. So great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And you know, to kind of shift gears here for a bit, and I was meaning to ask you since we've been scheduling this podcast. At the time of recording, you just got back from your trip to Japan, and I was hoping to really go deep with you because we both have experienced Japan. We both embrace it in our own ways. I thought it'd be a great opportunity here for the viewers to hear about Japan because there's some that have gone to Japan, others haven't, and it's always just good to hear people that have gone to Japan and got something out of it when just experiencing a foreign country like Japan.
Yeah. So, when I was actually in 2019 to 2020, my friends and I, we went to Japan back then. We went to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and then back to Tokyo. And it was a great experience, very great experience. And unfortunately, when we planned to come back a year later, COVID happened. So fast forward 4 years later, we go again. And this time around, I was excited to go back. I was so sad last time. I just had this weird feeling too. Whenever we left in 2020, like that it would be a long time before we went, and our plans would get derailed. And little did I know that a big giant pandemic would happen. Um, but besides that, this trip was great. We flew with ANA, the big Japan airlines from Japan, and it was a good trip to Tokyo. We stayed the night there at this one hotel that we stayed in in the last trip. We stayed on this trip too for our first night. And yeah, it was nice. It was a good way to start the trip. And from there, we went all the way up to Sapporo. Sapporo, I'd never been to. Temperature change. That's all I'll say. The snow, I was not expecting as much snow that we like ran into. I wasn't prepared for that. I'm a Florida boy. 80 degrees is good. And then 70, 60 degrees, oh man, time to put on that jacket. Whenever we went to Sapporo, man, culture shock. um, it's it was a great time. And sorry if I'm like kind of pausing in between. It was just a special time. Every time that we go there, I think while we were DMing each other, Christian, you said something really great that stuck with me was Japan really does, when you're over there for a vacation or just over there for family or just over there to enjoy yourself, it really kind of helps you kind of take things slow and to, um, appreciate the small things. And that's something that's kind of I have a difficult time with. Enjoying the small things, stopping to smell the roses, all that kind of stuff. I do have trouble with that. So Japan has always kind of come in clutch and kind of kicked me in the butt and said like, "Hey, enjoy yourself." But yeah, Sapporo. Going back on track, Sapporo was great. Just going to all the stores, the outlets, experiencing the city, in any place that you go to in Japan is always a treat. But the snow was and the what we did there, just looking at the sights, was great. I remember we went to we were walking at night and going to Sapporo Tower and walking on the fields of snow, up to this big tower and then going up it and then seeing the whole city with the snow falling and everything. It was like fairy tale. And then from Sapporo we went to Hakodate, Hokkaido. We hit a blizzard, more snow. So I was like, whoa. Oh gosh. Like when we got to the when our bullet train stopped at Hakodate, it was blowing sideways like 100, like, oh, it seemed like 100 miles per hour, just like snow, like, and I was like, this is wild, guys. Do we have to walk in this? I said that jokingly, and my friend Thomas was just like, yeah, we do. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. So my friends Thomas, JB, and we walked through that dang blizzard, and it was so cold, and we were waiting out for a train at one point, and we missed the train, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, we're in the middle of a blizzard, and we missed a train, and it's so cold. What are we going to do? And we decided to take the bus to our Airbnb, and thankfully we found it. And when we got in there, we just like all huddled around this like little tiny like heater, and we were just like, man, it is cold. Like just putting our hands together, just like, man, hey, get close, it's hot, that, or it's cold, that sort of thing. But being in Hakodate was really nice. Same experience as like Sapporo, just going through the sites and eating a lot of food and all that stuff. It was pretty cool. And then from there, and there are a lot of experiences that we had, but it's kind of blanking on me right now. If I was looking at pictures, it would help, but just getting a quick rundown. From there, where did we go from Hakodate? We went to Kyoto. We went to Kyoto and the land of temples. The funny thing about Kyoto was we went to Fushimi Inari, one of the famous temples in Kyoto, and man, I was leading us, and I went down because there are different paths to go up to the top of Mount Inari, to the top of the temple. And you're supposed to follow the trail of red. I'll just say that, like red structure. You're supposed to follow that. My dumbass followed the dirt trail, and I was like, "Hey, y'all, I think this is the right way." And so, man, like it's dirt trails for a long time, and I'm like, man, this is different from last time. And then, like halfway through, my friend Thomas is like, we're going a different route. We're going the hard route. And I'm like, what's the hard route? And he explained it to me. He's like, well, there are certain paths to take up the mountain. The path that we went to last time we were here was the easy path, the path with all red. We went down the hard path where actually, if you look to your right, the ledge there's no fence, it's just trees. If you look down, it's pretty far down, so if you fall, you could die. So I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, I guess we're still going. And like, it was funny because it was so dark that my friends had to turn on the light, like their phone lights. And my friend Thomas, he's always prepared. He's the camping master. He has like camping like lights, flashlights. So he has us hooked up basically. And I'm walking, and it's too dark and it's too silent. I'm getting freaked out. It feels like a bear is about to attack me, right? So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna put on like, I don't know, what's that song? Herald of Darkness from Alan Wake 2. So I put that on while we were walking in the dark, and it felt like I was in Alan Wake 2 for a little bit. Great game, by the way. And what was really tough was the stairs. So there was a point where we had to go up the mountain basically because we were going up it, but it just felt like we're missing something. This is too easy for a dirt path. Something's screwy right now. Like, and then we looked to our left in this pathway that we were on, and it said up Mount Nari. So we're like, I guess this is it. This sucker had no railings. It was just stone steps. It was like I was going up a Shaolin monk temple, basically. It felt like I was going up to, like, I don't know, the Wuxi Academy in Mortal Kombat. I was gonna go see Lord Raiden. Because Shang Tsung's destroying the world, apparently. And man, this stone stairway was so hard. And we were already tired at this point. It was so sketch. Like, I'm thinking, this is the hard path because we're just going up like 30 flights of stairs and it's not ending. And Thomas is like falling behind because he has a heavy backpack on, to keep like a lot of our stuff in. So I felt bad. And then my friend JB, like, he works at Amazon, so he's like, he gets his steps in all the time, so he's used to stuff like this. But he's getting tired, and at a point we all stop, and then I say behind JB, I'm like, JB, there's still like 10 flights of or 15 flights of stairs left. We're not near the end. And he looks up into the sky and is like, ah! And then right after that, he's like, wow, my voice echoed. And he kept going. And it was like I was on the damn Stairmaster in the gym. I'm like, well, I wanted to get my workout in today. I guess this is it. And after about like 25 to 30 minutes of stair walking, we come across, like, we get to the top, we come across this like really ominous like gate that we've never seen before, that's built from the same wood as like the temple wood, so you know it's part of the temple. And I'm like, are we going, is this the end, or are we facing like a secret boss out of Dark Souls? Like, what? Where, I don't, am I gonna go through like a fog wall in a minute? Because I'm not ready. So we get to the top, and thankfully we make it to the top, right? It's the top of Mount Inari. We made it. It looks familiar. And then we go more, like, we got to the top, but then we go more up, and I'm like, why are we going more up? Apparently we hit the end mark, right? And then we go to the spot where we actually stopped the trip before. So we're nowhere near the bottom. And I'm like, you're telling me that after all this time, we're not close to the end of going down the mountain? And my friend Thomas looks over and he's like, no, we're actually where we stopped last time. We didn't make it to the top last time. We made it to the top this time, the hard way, and now we're going down. And I'm like, that's a lot of steps, brother. So after about another 45 minutes, we go down. My legs are cramping. Thomas he pulled a muscle. JB is just hungry and he wants to get some food, and he's ahead of us. And, by the time we're done, like, I'm a sweaty mess, and it is like 40 degrees, 30 degrees outside. So, being that sweaty and it's that cold, you had a workout. So, that was our time at Fushimi Inari that a lot of people don't know of. The hard path. But with Kyoto, we went to other temples too. I can't remember the names because they're names that I'm not familiar with, but to really the some of the famous ones, we went to the Imperial Castle, I think. the Imperial Palace was closed down, or vice versa. One of them was closed down, but we went to one of the Imperial structures. That was nice. And then I think that was in Kyoto. I could be wrong. It could have been somewhere else. I don't. I get my locations mixed up at times, so I apologize. I think it was in Kyoto, but we ended off the Kyoto part with going to one of the aquariums, and then that was good. So it was nice. Then we went to Tokyo, and then I got hit with food poisoning. That was the worst food poisoning I've ever had in my life. I woke up one day or one of the nights, and I just couldn't keep my food down, and I couldn't eat. And I was like, I haven't been this sick since I was like 7 years old. Oh my gosh. And the crappy part was the day I had food poisoning, we were traveling to I think it was Niigata or Nagano. And we were traveling up a dang mountain to go to an onsen. So I had food poisoning. I did not feel good the whole time. It was kind of a drag to like travel up that mountain. I was getting more nauseous. So I was like, oh gosh. Ugh. And we went to this onsen. To paint a picture, the mountain was beautiful. Like the villages that were around the onsen was great. We had went here before in 2020, and it was a fantastic time. I had already had a great time here back then. This time around, though, I got sick, and I slept for 15 straight hours. Yeah, my friends, while they experienced the onsen, like they were able to go out at night when it was snowing and just enjoy themselves in the onsen pools, and basically they said it was just like a sight to see because the snow was coming down. I was jealous, but my friends came back middle of the night and I was still dying. They're like, man, the nearest hospital is like an hour from here, so we're pretty much screwed. I don't know what to do right now, but I was so determined to get better by the time we left the next day, which thankfully I did. Thank God, because that was rough. Um, but the onsen, if my past experience, it was really nice. Very nice staff, very good food, good atmosphere. If I knew the name to market it, I would say it here, but again, the Japanese names I always forget, so sorry. But after that, we traveled back to Tokyo again. We stayed there for another 5 days. We did Akihabara, the famous Akihabara, where Steins Gate took place, and a few other animes and video games took place. And we nerded out there, and did some other stuff around Tokyo as well. We went. What else did we do? I'm blanking on a lot of stuff we did, but we did a good amount in Tokyo before we left, and after that, after all the traveling, we were ready to come home. I think one thing on my next trip that I take is I'm staying in one spot and experiencing that spot for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, because all the traveling was very tiring. It was fun, but it was tiring. It was a different type of trip rather than just staying in one spot. So that was just one thing I would do differently. But besides that, it was such a great experience. So nice. I miss it. You come back from a trip like that and you come back to reality, you come back to the grind and you're just like, oh man, I wish I can go back to that onsen and relax a bit. But it was a very nice time. It did remind me to take things slow, to trust the process and things, and to really just be grateful for what you have, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity to go for that long and to take time off that long and really, still be financially okay. I have to add that in. So it's a big reward. It's a big honor to do something like that, and to have the confidence to say, yeah, I'm able to go again in the next year or so. So yeah, it was a great experience, Christian. It was. I hope if it's on somebody's heart to go with their spouse, their partner, their friends, or even themselves, like I hope they can. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear just your story, Japan, your experience there. And it's funny you mentioned the first time you went there in 2019. I had also gone to Japan in late September of 2019 and came back around like the second week of October.
Yeah.
So it's very rejuvenating just seeing how another country operates, and then when you think about everything in the States, how things operate there, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Even even as far as when you walk around, you see different stores. There's something always enticing about the stores in Japan,
Yep.
where it's got more like a welcoming feeling. It
Yep.
always piques your curiosity because just the signage, the business inside, the way it looks, it's all different than the ones we experienced in the
Yeah.
States.
Hmm.
And then just going through the streets, I can't stress enough how clean they are for the most part.
Oh,
I was there during the World Cup for rugby. So
nice.
there were some knocked over cans, some trash bags got torn open. So okay, that's not Japan all the time. It's just for the time being, it is a bit more. I can't say it. There's just more business to it just because they're
Yeah.
hosting a World Cup. So
Yeah.
yes, extra tourists, extra there because they're taking in so many people coming in from around the world. So there was that to be expected. But just comparing it, everything, the streets, the sidewalks, uh, the the buildings, even when I went to the mall in Odaiba, you see like I compare it to our local malls, like it does not even hold a candle
Nope.
to what Japan
Doesn't.
has because it's just so
Doesn't.
massive and so much business, so many people there. Like you, no store was really empty. There was always people like buying stuff, visiting all the stores. Where again, some of the stores in my local mall don't have much of a crowd. People go to like certain areas, and that's where they go, and then all places are like empty because
Yeah.
they're not. It's not the same like back in the '90s and 2000s with malls. Like it's a sad reality just looking back because malls were a thing. They were the hot spots. Now
Yeah.
they're not, and Japan somehow keeps the malls alive and well. Either culture's different, either people appreciate their malls more than here in the States do. And for me, getting to experience Tokyo, see different districts, like I've been to Asakusa, the cultural area of Japan, or Tokyo. I got to experience Chiyoda, where
Yeah.
Tokyo Dome is at. Got to see some Japanese pro wrestling at Korakuen Hall.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, been to Ginza, which one could say is like the very uppity up area of Tokyo. Just I guess you can compare it to a bit of New York, like the very business oriented fashion area of New York, or Chicago or Los Angeles, where that's where all the big name clothing brands are. That's where a lot of the big businesses are thriving.
Hmm.
So just seeing like comparing it to the States, like they're different. They at a different level just on how far they take that aspect, that district, to a different higher level than over
Yeah.
here. And of course, getting to see the Imperial Palace, where the Emperor's family lives, just to kind of like walk around the area, just seeing how beautiful it is. The park area, just something different, something nice. Uh, I love the subways, so clean, always on
Yep.
time. And then took it just to go outside of the to the outskirts of the city, just seeing like the countryside, or I guess the suburbs were more rural, kind of
Yeah.
more pastures, more greener lands. I like the way they do it because here in the States it can get a little too country-ish, if that makes more sense. Like
No, I get you.
it almost becomes very bipolar where there's no middle ground. Is we need the cities, then it just becomes very too country-ish for my taste. But in Japan, they somehow still maintain that modern feel to it, where it's not trying to just be not in day different. It's trying to still have resemblance that yes, you're in the outskirts, but it still feels like it's functioning like it would be in modern times.
Yeah.
Just make that comparison clear because I wish I could explore more of that countryside, that more grassy area, because there's something beautiful about it. It's something more natural, very welcoming, in my humble opinion, where it encourages people to want to see the stuff outside of the big city. And I really hope to explore that in the future, just to see the small little towns, the small buildings, just have more like a homebody feel when exploring that area of Japan. So yeah, I felt very therapeutical just experiencing that because I was at that time where I needed something new, something different. Being in Japan for the first time, and I'm kind of glad I did because a few months later, COVID was on the rise, and I was like, "Well, I picked the right time before
Yep.
everything just went out of whack." So just sure my experience and yours was very more eventful, to say the least. While mine was very slow, very mellow,
That's
nothing
good though.
crazy. Yeah, just enjoying Japan because we've seen it on the animes, the video games, and well, I'm pretty sure you can relate that it almost feels like we walked into those those worlds, like just the
Yep.
video games or the animes. Where it's like I'm at the place where Steinkiss was at, or vice
Yep.
versa. Just pretend like I'm here for the moment. So, just great experience to visit Japan.
Yeah, I just I love those moments. And that's the type of trip I want to whenever the type that you had to was just being therapeutic and slow, relaxing. This one that we went on was pretty extreme, and pretty, um go-getter-esque type, just traveling, going here, going there, gotta can't waste any time, that sort of thing. Definitely the type of trip that you had, I would want for my next one, and probably go alone. I have experienced it twice now with a group of people, so the next one probably take it in all to myself. Go alone and see how it goes. That, or if I have a partner, then take her with me. But still, there I want that feeling of just experiencing it solo, and just going alone and walking the streets, that are always bustling, walking Shinjuku and Shibuya, and maybe going to see a movie at the Toho cinemas, around there, that sort of thing. So I definitely want to do that, and I just can't wait for the next time, man. I miss it, and probably won't go again until not the end of this year, but probably sometime end of next year. Because the end of this year, I'm aiming to maybe go to India, for business. So, one of my business partners, that I work with, for voiceover work, you know, uh, probably maybe doing something out there. So that's probably going to be my international trip. Besides Japan at the beginning of the year, that would be the end of the year. So would have to kind of, because I do like to budget my money and like to, really kind of stingent with like finances and like saving up and all that kind of stuff. Don't want to ever like, go crazy with the money. So definitely save up for the India trip if it ever comes at the end, hopefully, and then next year definitely probably go to Japan again, solo. So it'd be good.
Yeah, just if you do Japan again, that's what I did. I was by myself. I only have few words in Japanese that in my memory bank, and just walking the streets. Like I had no real destinations. Is hey, I'll go to Shinjuku, Shibuya, walk the streets. And it's one of those things where when you go to Japan and you go there, it's not so much that you're picking destination, but you're giving yourself a journey when
Yep.
you are just taking it all in. You're seeing different corners, different areas that you never seen before, and you walk through the path. You see the people, everyday life. It's just amazing just seeing how you compare it to the life here in the States and
Yeah.
over there. And again, just taking all in, going back to Shibuya, going through the Grand Cross, going up to 109, up the escalators, and then just coming back down. Okay, you just explore or just walk the streets, Shinjuku. I just walked around aimlessly, like, okay, I'm just taking all in. I know how to get back to the train station, like, just combing around, just seeing like what's out there. So it's one of the things where if you can experience yourself, then yeah, then you have more experience and confidence where you can do it again the next time you decide to visit. So, and yeah, hopefully you with India, hopefully you enjoy the trip there. Just you know, take it all in, have another comparison to different countries where you've been. For me, I've done Mexico as well. Been there like many times before, so I already know how things look there, and I can take that experience if I go to another country. And I always encourage those to do more traveling because it really helps the mind. It really helps put one at ease, just seeing what's around the world. And for this little podcast, those that are watching, hopefully they can like just take that little nuggets information from us two and apply it to themselves if they decide to pull the trigger on visiting Japan or any other country as a way of just having some sort of like grasp, some sort of framework to go off by.
Yeah, I would encourage that 100%. To just, if you have the money, if you have the freedom to get out of your comfort zone and to go into an area that you've always wanted to go to, England, Iceland, Alaska, Japan, South Korea, the Vietnam, the Philippines. It's funny, when we went to the Philippines last year in February, my friend Ryan and I, and it was great. We went there for recreation, and it was just a time where I was able to go to where some of my blood is from. It was great to see that culture. We went to Davao, down south in Mindanao of the Philippines, and great atmosphere, great food, and one of the best international trips I've ever been on. I've only gone on a few, but that one was it's dear to me because there was a lot of family-esque, feel to it with the people we were around, the friends we were around. It was great. And yeah, I encourage, if anybody has an opportunity to go, you know, overseas, it can not only help you, but it could help your acting chops too, because you can see how other people, how they interact with each other in different cultures, different, nationalities, and different places, and it could just help overall. So, yeah.
Yeah, it these are life-changing experiences. Once you visit other countries, those will be forever in your memory. Just understanding that all cultures are different, always a big takeaway. Just exploring them and then applying it to yourself, whether it be just your real life, everyday life, or like you said, your acting now that you have like more of a round to work with, where it'd be like Japan. Now you kind of know what your character is feeling like when they are in the streets of Shibuya,
Yeah.
or where else it might be, or well, if there's like you said, the Philippines, where if it's going to be something more of that kind of environment, then you really have that familiarity with you, and you can take that little piece with you to whatever projects that you've come across that have a similar setting, or put that setting exactly the same way. So yeah, there's always a benefit to that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So yeah, well, Josh, I think we have gone for quite a while here. This was great, very educational, and I think we've learned more about you than we would have thought on social media then. So I can't thank you enough for your time making this all happen, making this all possible. So uh, I really hope everyone here that has tuned in have learned a lot from you, because I think this is a great way to have explore a bit of your mind and getting to dive through your experiences. So big thank you goes out to you.
Hey, I thank you to the Ohio guys, to Christian, you for having me, and I've seen you all work, and interviewing some of my friends and different voice actors, and I always thought that was kind of a benchmark, an achievement to get interviewed by you. So it's really good. It's an honor. So thank you for letting me do this, letting me speak for a little while and have fun and just talk. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough either. Those are some kind words you just gave out, so I appreciate that. I always enjoy this myself, just getting to know the person behind the mic, and especially in social media land. You may not get enough information. There's only so much pieces you can really get to tell an entire story. So
Mhm.
this was a great way to kind of piece together everything. And I'm pretty sure we can do this again down the road. There's just so much to really dive deep in such under 2 hours, but I appreciate you just making this work, making this, because I feel very honored to hear that anyone feels great when being on the Ohio Guys channel, whether it be interviews, podcasts, just at least having their name attached to the Ohio Guys. I feel honored myself just having this type of conversations and just getting to unravel everything, just
Yeah.
have everything just laid out in front. So I really can't express my thanks enough just for you to come on here and then just speak your piece whenever we can cover all these grounds that you've laid out so far. So definitely big thanks again.
No problem, man. No problem. I just hope that we can do it again. Talk about maybe more technicals about voice acting. Get more deep into it, all that kind of stuff. If you ever wanted to, but I know going from here, you're gonna have great interviews. Have great voice actors on whenever you have the time, of course. And yeah, I know it's gonna be great for you. So again, just thank you for letting me be a part of all that. So, and yeah, that's all I got.
The words, sentiments deeply felt. Thank you very much. And yes, I really hope to keep doing this, what I do with your colleagues and those in different corners of the earth. So I will do this as long as I can, as long as I have the ability to do so. And again, this is all great learning experience for me, just as a fan, as someone who has kind of learned enough of the ins and outs of the industry, and I always feel, again, in the privileged to be in this spot, this position that I'm in, and just getting to have the slices of time to just dig deep and just explore everyone's story, because everyone has a story, everyone has their own journey, and I'm always great to kind of be the one to help lay out the road and everyone else getting to use that road as a way to get their stories out there for your own fans that have followed you all these years, to new eyes that are maybe just tuning in right now for the first time ever, and then just getting the little pieces, little chunks of information, just to know who these people are behind the mic, behind the social media profile pictures, and everything just helps out, just kind of putting it all to perspective. So definitely, I'm very honored again. So yeah, I thank you again for our viewers tuning in for this edition of the Ohio Guys. Thank you, everyone, and again, thank you goes out to Josh Portillo. Uh, Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone, and I will hope to catch you all in the next video. So everyone, enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy this Super Bowl Sunday by the time it's recording, and everyone, have a good rest of the day. So, bye, everyone.
See ya.